Are you a Range Rover owner? Well, you might want to look away now because what I'm about to show you is going to make you wince. My name is Elliot Richards and this is the brand new luxury flagship Nio ES9. For those of you who have been following the Nio story, you will have seen the ups and downs of the company over the past 10 or 11 years. However, they've released a slew of new models over the last 18 months or so, and this is the latest. Now, this follows on from the ultra luxury ET9, which we saw last year, targeting those ultra high net worth individuals, and it was over 100 grand for the very few people who could actually afford it. This slots in a little bit below that, and this is really going after the jugular of cars like Range Rover in China, who still don't currently have an electric option. Size. Should we start with size? Yes, we're going to start with size because this is the battleship Nio. And in fact, it's only just slightly smaller than a small class aircraft carrier. And did you know you can actually land jets on the roof because it's so long? Jokes aside, this car is 5.3 meters long. It's over 2 meters wide and it's taller than me. It's 1.87 meters tall. This thing is big, but it wears that size really, really well because this has been designed and detailed by a master craftsman, someone who knows what they're doing with a pen, with clay modeling, with 3D modeling. And you can really see in the details how they've hunkered it down, how they've made it much more smooth, much more in proportion than some of its larger rivals. I think from this angle, it has great presence and looks stunning. I see you admiring those LEDs over there. Yeah, they look really nice, don't they? Blingy and premium, and they're lovely, aren't they? But my name's Elliot and I'm actually more interested in efficiency. Now, we don't have the official efficiency numbers of the car at the moment, but we do have the drag coefficient. Now, this has got a drag coefficient of 0.264, which is very impressive for something so big and so slab-sided. But what's more impressive is another car which has the same drag coefficient. That's the BMW i8. The hyper-efficient supercar from BMW a few years back. That's how much progress has been made in the last few years, and that's why the design of this is so important. Now, of course, I could tell you about the 662 LED rear taillight. I could tell you about the 31 sensors hidden around the car. I can't even find them all. Or I could tell you about the 600-litre boot space. I'll also tell you about this rather fetching 1970s purple carpet, which I thought I was not going to like, but I actually think it really suits the car and the colour of this car. Now, of course, the 600 litres is with the false floor, there's space down there, and if you push those seats back, then you get the full 600 litres. I've also got space to hang my clothes with an added accessory up there. But I don't really want to talk to you about any of this stuff because I want to talk to you about the alloy wheels. Whilst we're down here, I just want to point out a couple of things. First of all, the gargantuan 23-inch alloy wheels. They really suit the car, but I'd be worried about changing the tyres. These tyres are about £500 per corner. That's a rather big expense. The other thing you should probably notice is these lights down here. Now, they react in a pattern depending on what settings you have, what you've done, but they've hidden the LiDAR radar units very well. All part of that Aquila system, all built in. There's another very neat feature that I probably should have mentioned to you earlier, and I feel I should be putting on my Brian Blessed voice for this, but this is what I can do with my hand. You ready?
Rise.
Yeah, like that. Very powerful, this hand. Very powerful. But inside there, 200 litres of space. Got space for my umbrella that you can pin down, and also a large bucket down here for lots of other bits and bobs. Unfortunately, I can't use the hand. Well, to lower it, I've got to use the button there. Oh well, maybe they're working on that. There's another few neat features as you enter the ES9 as well. So first of all, they've got the sideboard, which comes out when you try and open the door. And the sideboard is wider on the back and narrower on the front to let easier ingress. But also, these are electronic doors, right? Electronic doors can be a little bit stubborn and annoying, but these literally touch with your finger and you can close it like that. It's honestly hard to know where to start with the interior because it's so spectacular. You can tell Nio's focus has been completely on premium feel, luxury fittings, and just ultimate comfort. So I'm going to focus on probably some of the most important things rather than going through the exhaustive list of everything in here. So first of all, zero gravity seats. There's 2 of them on each side here that I can control through the door and through this screen here. The zero gravity seats have, I think, 42 points of massage and 67 different ways of adjusting, but forget all of those numbers because in the footrest in front of me is a foot massager. Yes, I can take my shoes off, put my feet on there and get a lovely little foot massage. On the middle section here, I've got this screen here which controls all of the things like the roof lights, all of that stuff. I've got a fridge down here which I can open through the menus, and then I've also got a safe down here which I can also open through there, and a drinks holder which is in there as well. Again, lots of functionality but all very premium materials. Also in the center console here I have my table, which you've probably seen similar things before, like super high, like aircraft grade aluminium, whatever it is, but it's got an inbuilt mirror, which is important for when I do my eyelashes and my makeup. But when I open this, there is a light up here. Okay, you say, it focuses down here. But when I move my seat backwards and forwards, that light will follow and make sure this part is lit. That's kind of like next level thinking that you don't really get from a lot of other cars. Whoops, and Elliot forgot how to put that back in. In front of me, there are 2 16-inch OLED screens. Loads of functionality. I can control my music, but most importantly, I can get software in here where I can do video conferencing calls. So I can speak to Gary in London about the stock market price on my backseat of my car because I'm important and I do business things. Yeah, I don't really want my office to follow me around in the back of a car, but it's there if you really treasure that kind of functionality. I think for the next bit, I'm going to bring you guys in here with me and we'll maybe explore together point of view style because there's so much I want to tell you about in here and it's easier if I just kind of show you what's going on. So on this side, I've got these lovely LEDs. There's different levels of LEDs within the car. As you can see, this is a dynamic one, so it's moving along. You can obviously turn that off. And I've got all of my controls for my seat control, my lumbar control. I've got all of that up here. And then down here, open the door, lock the door. I can mute the music, or obviously mute Gary on my business call if he's irritating me. But these 2 buttons here are probably the most interesting. Now, if I start flicking these up and down, you probably won't notice anything that's happening. So I just want to show you what that button does. If you look at this and I hold the button down, oh neat, you can tint the window automatically. If I hold it down again, I can untint the window. Yeah, that is pretty cool in itself, but this is cooler. I can do that. Let me make it darker. Look, I can make a little viewing point so I can just about see my celebrity fans outside and they can't really see inside. I can just see out. But actually, I think when the sun is high in the sky, you can control how this is angled. You can do it just from the top, just from the bottom. Very expensive feature apparently, and you can do that on both sides. And it goes to the back window as well. Doesn't happen on the roof. On the roof, you've got normal manual slides, which I'm going to show you now with that. There you go, fairly standard. And this is my control down here for lots of functionality. So moving this screen up and down, that's through a touch of a button. And then I can open things like the safe, which I press this button here, and the safe will open up down here. Obviously open the fridge, and there's space for chargers in there. And this is my LED screens. And now I'm going to put it in zero gravity seat mode, which I do by pressing this button here. And as we can see, everything moves back. Now this is the most comfortable seat because
if you've got no front passenger, then you've got more space. Obviously, you can't really do this with the driver's seat. Interestingly, this will stay completely flat at this angle, even when you're moving forward. So some cars I know the screen just follows the angle of the seat in front, but not this one. I feel rude putting my shoes on here because I should just enjoy the massage experience, but there you go. I'm still going back, yeah. It's pretty quick. And in the event of an accident, the chair will jump forward in 7/100th of a second to make sure it protects you and make sure you hit the airbags instead of anything else. So yeah, thinking about safety as well. So for me, maybe the biggest letdown is here in the rear seats, in the back seats. So you press this is fairly quick to get in and out, but these seem just a little bit forgotten about. Now obviously, if you've got kids, you can jump in here and you're still fairly comfortable and you still have space to put your iPad or whatever you've got up there. And I've got some smaller controls on the side for things like moving the seats back, speak to the driver. There is some seat comfort as well, but it's not forgotten about. It's just not as spacious as obviously those zero gravity seats in front. Have you ever heard what 4,630 watts sounds like? No, neither have I. Watch and listen to this. It's really, really loud. Stop that. Oh. That's thanks to 47 speakers dotted around the cabin. There's 2 subs, one in the front, one in the back. There's tweeters, there's woofers. In some of the models, they got diamond coated tweeters, which is better for sound fidelity, so I'm told. Again, all tucked away behind these really premium metal accents over here. But that's not all, because the interior in the front here has some other really nice features. First of all, drive-by-wire, copied over from the ET9, but improved from that version there. I've got the same kind of floating dashboard up here. I've got my HUD in front of me as well, and I've got the same sort of material, wooden material, as the ET9 as well. So lots of similarities to the ET9, but some like small improvements. Again, like the Xiaomi SU7, it's like going from the iPhone 16 to the iPhone 17. Small improvements, incremental, but huge differences for the people on the inside. So just when you think Chinese EVs can't get any better, Nio come along with the ES9 and blow everyone's brains, because this is just a tour de force of everything that Chinese EVs can do. It's technologically fantastic, luxurious, premium. Of course, most of us will not be able to afford this without some very creative financing. Will this go overseas to Europe? Probably, maybe, we don't know. I think this would be a hit wherever it goes if they get the pricing strategy right. But most importantly, if you want to see the direction of Chinese EVs in the next 5 years, start here.